I just double check. Right, I hope everyone's excited for this because I've had to do some negotiating here as to getting. So this is the talk show part now, Curtis. This is actually the talk. This is the talk show bit now. I'm going to see if we can get this working. Go and head over to IRL 1, where I've managed to make a new made a new thing as well there. How exciting is that? Still calling. Oh,
hello there, my friend.
Hello indeed. I wonder if everyone can guess who that might be. I'm gonna have to.
This is a mystery.
I'm gonna have to.
An absolute mystery. Do you know something? I think I have the wrong webcam selected and probably the wrong audio input as well.
I'm just trying to figure out because this is the first one I've done. I'm gonna try and figure out if how to get your pretty face. You have to figure out how to get your pretty face on
all over Twitch. Yeah.
All over Twitch.
Yeah. Am I live on the channel right now as we speak?
You are not, but I'm going to try and use my production skills to try and get you on. They can hear you.
What? They can hear me. Oh, fantastic. Well, that's what I meant. Okay, so I should probably start with a couple of introductions. My name is Jack, but most of you will probably know me better as Shinon or Shinon Streams, as I often appear in Mussy Dutch's little live chat there. And well, for a time anyway, last year, used to stream music production on Twitch, and the occasional video game as well. And I really like Sonic the Hedgehog. And on his server, I am the official Sonic coordinator. I'll tell you what. Not only is it such an honor.
Just to point out, if you have got the stream open, can you see what I'm trying to do? We're trying to get you in this little box. I'm going to give you the best treatment here. I'm going to try and get you in this box.
The problem I'm having is I know for a fact that I'm not going to be able to watch your stream and talk to you live on this internet connection at the same time. So I'm going to have to watch the VOD later on and see what little box. It's probably just like a little square with the word "absolute mong" written above it or something.
No, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. How bad is it?
You can't fit in Mussy's box. Dude, I should have. No, I don't think they've got anything on anymore where you can do a with the region capture. I don't know if it is a thing on slobs anymore.
Yeah.
So
who knows?
There is a crop.
But what I do know is that we've got us a map to lead us to a hidden box that's all locked up with locks and buried deep away.
That is definitely true. Oh, I've made a right muck of this now. You'll have to bear with me. Yeah, stream, bear with me. But I had some like topics, so
I'm just gonna vogue on camera real quick. There you go.
Let me see, because this will help me for next time. So you kind of like a test subject here.
Great, that's cool. Do I look good? My headphone on properly?
Yeah, it's almost like you never left.
Exactly. It's almost like I never abandoned my audience and went on hiatus for the better part of a year. It was really only supposed to be about
Peter Housen. I know we've not got Tesco Broadband anymore, but the production value was there for a moment, and now it's gone.
Yeah, well.
This is what happens.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Talking to you live through the awesome power of ADSL. Great.
Wait, why not? I know what I'll do. I'm a bit of a monk.
I'm gonna load up Twitch, but
why I just make this full screen and I'll make you. I'll just. So you're on my entire screen.
Yeah. I'm gonna pop out the chat. I think is what.
I've just figured that out. I've literally just figured that out.
Yeah.
But I don't know why that's gone. I don't know why it's gone box shaped. Oh wait, because I've just put a region. I've just put a filter on it. Right. There we go. Look at me.
There you go.
Acceptable. Fixing things. Well, this is the first one with a guest, so I had to figure out how to get it to look good. So now we're good. Look at that. I've even got this nice little. Now it's perfectly over there. So there he is.
Fantastic.
Right. Let's start again. Right, wait. What I'm saying.
Why do my
And
hands
now-
always look way too big on this camera?
No, you're ruining the effect. You're ruining
No,
the
go on, do it,
You're
let's
ruining
do it,
the
let's
effect.
do it.
You're ruining the effect.
Let's do it.
Right, boys and girls, are you ready for the Hear Me Out episode 2 with a special guest? It is Mr. Shin on Streams. Welcome. Go and get
How
some
you doing?
PogChamp. Must Oz. It is the return of Shinnon.
Shin on
Streams
Dreams of
himself.
streaming, he does indeed. No.
Shin on Dreams of Streaming is exactly him. Welcome.
For me, it is a dream, but it is Johnny's worst nightmare.
Well, I thought, who better to come on?
Literally nobody to answer that question.
Well, nobody else was available.
It's great.
No, but I thought, well, everyone knows that we did a podcast last week, and it was the first ever one. And I have taken inspiration from other people who have also decided to make their own little podcast that they've tried to reach out, bring guests on, and I think that the best person to go for first was it's got to go for someone easy. I don't want to go somebody I've never ever spoken to before. That would be a bit bad. So we went for our Sonic coordinator, as you all know. We are playing all the Sonic the Hedgehog games. We had a big list of all the games I was going to play, and this was very, very. It was scratched down to all of the acceptable games to the Sonic coordinator, but down below.
Yeah, no, we had to get rid of a few, didn't we? We decided on none of the Game Gear games because they just kind of suck, and they're kind of stripped down lesser versions of the Mega Drive equivalents. None of the sort of early handheld stuff. Sonic Pocket Adventure was also out because it's basically a remake. It's sort of like a 2D 8-bit handheld remake of Sonic 2. Riders was out because it's a racing game. Actually, all the racing games were
So
out.
we didn't do any of the
Unfortunately,
racing games, no.
I couldn't make him play Sonic R, although I was absolutely desperate for Johnny to feel the sunshine. Unfortunately, he won't. So when I stream again, I'm going to stream Sonic R, because that game is the shito, as the Japanese would say. It's the shit.
It was interesting. Yeah, we've just had Ill Intelligence say who's stealing who's Sonic viewers. It's like, surely they've got to be live to steal viewers from them.
Yeah, no, we have to be live at exactly the same time. Duel of the Fates, but
I'm not that mean of a person where I'll just steal someone's views and then not recommend them to go and say, right, go and watch someone proper play Sonic. Watch him play. Yes, I'll try and crank him up a bit.
Hey DJ, turn it up. QDC gonna burn it up.
Sorry. Turn you up.
Absolutely great. Don't you think though that the rapping in the Sonic CD soundtrack sounds like Quad City DJs? They actually probably could have done the music for Space Jam had they been commissioned to.
Yeah,
which can you trust in the middle of the night? Sorry.
Well, that's what it kind of. So the first thing that made me think of was Ghostbusters for some reason. Like it was.
What? So what? The rapper sounds like Ray Parker Jr. Then.
I thought it was Sam. Is it not Sammy Dave? Yeah. Oh, what is it called? Is that what he's called?
What? The guy who sings the
Ghostbusters? Yeah.
Yeah, Ray Parker Jr. Yeah.
All right.
It's like the only song he ever did.
All right. Yeah.
And I don't know who Ray Parker Sr. is, so whatever.
Well, his dad. Daniel Day-Lewis. No, that's what it was. That's what it immediately made me think of. Because you know what, I really like it, and then you just kind of I've not heard that in a Sonic game before. It was kind of. Yeah, it was kind of good.
Yeah, well, as Peter Housen the Dragon in your chat has just pointed out, we will be hearing more rap music at some. Well, actually, in the very near future, because Knuckles' theme in Sonic Adventure contains a little bit of rap, including the infamous Knuckles meme line, which is just art, and then all of his level music in Sonic Adventure 2 is rapping. So
I think this was the one that people were most looking forward to. Is this next couple of weekends where we're playing Adventure and Adventure 2.
Yeah, really culturally iconic ones. Can we get an in-chat sing-along to Escape from the City? Because I bet we can.
Well, a copy paste ready. So there's quite a lot of interest. So surprise, a lot of interest. Like everyone who was on board with following this challenge, it's I can't wait till you play Sonic Adventure 2, and I'm damn, I'm gonna make this really bad. I'm probably gonna make it look horrific.
Oh no, dude, I absolutely, I've said this before, I absolutely love watching people who have never played Sonic games before try and play Sonic games.
I think that's what I feel about Crash, and I think that the kind of the theme of this podcast, I think, tonight was going to be sort of the way that I've sort of picked up your childhood to sort of play, and then I think when you come back, then you're going to do most of the Crash games. There's not as many Crash games, but
no.
I think, have you played Crash games before?
Do you know something? I've played the demo of Crash Bandicoot 3 on the PS1.
Right.
And it's, the demo specifically covers... It's a really weird place to start the demo, right? Because it covers, like... There's this kind of almost wave race style mini game that one of the characters has to play, and she's on like a water jet ski thing.
Yeah, that's making waves. Fifth level of the first warp room.
Yeah, so like, I think it's a weird level to choose for a demo from like a gameplay standpoint. But it makes sense if you're trying to demo the fact that you found a way to make the PS1 do convincing-looking water effects. So there you go. It's like a kind of tech demo sort of thing. I'm going to readjust the angle of my webcam because at the moment I look a little weird. Whoa.
Moving.
I've done it.
Hey!
Oh, how you doing? Oh, 1 second. My mother is delivering me chicken tendies. It's actually tuna fish and...
Does anyone want anything?
And, baked potatoes, lovely, fantastic. That's absolutely delicious. So
great.
Now,
what did you get? What did you get? Tell us what you got.
Show it. And baked potato. I'll pick up one of the baked potatoes with my fork, and you'll be able to see it.
Oof, this is a baked potato stream. Oh, look at that dripping butter.
Yeah.
Dripping in butter.
Potato streams with Shinon's potato internet. That's there you go.
Well, you can hold the webcam call fine. That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really impressed by that. Like Discord's adaptive like webcam streaming feature is actually not so bad. Sorry, I pointed my camera towards the door the moment my mum walked in.
It's got to change it up a bit. Nah, don't
live
worry.
on the stream.
Don't worry about it. I've had my family walking on streams as we did it. We did Ori and the Blind Forest, and it was New Year's Eve, and my sister and her boyfriend were here, and they came in drunk about 1 o'clock in the morning to get crash the stream.
Did they know you were streaming before?
Yeah, and then the next day she was going on about how like, how many followers have I got your channel? I'm like, I think you got one. I think you got one by like sheer luck. Eating stream now. Eating with Shinon.
Yeah.
Should we go back to the?
I was going to say that my name is Shinon Streams, but my mum's name is Walks In On Streams. Sorry. Let's go back into it.
So, we're gonna try and. So I don't want to do any what's the best way to say? I don't want to do any like wrong justice to Sonic Adventure. Like I like watching people play Crash, and there's not as many Crash games, and so that's kind of why. I mean, it's not gonna. I sort of recommend people to play all the racing games for Crash as well.
Do you reckon you'll start it this Friday or this Saturday, Sonic Adventure?
That's another good question. I think I might start it on Friday because we might be able to do two long streams, if not 3. Because if I start it on Friday, it means that I've always got Sunday as a backup to sort of finish it.
Yeah, Ill Intelligence, I'm not playing Tag Team Racing, and you couldn't pay me to.
Oh, see, I like that game. I like that game. I'm playing all the games that you don't like. What? No,
yeah,
what?
No, exactly.
It's not garbage. It's not garbage. It's so. I think this is how I feel. This is probably how I feel. It's how you feel about Sonic. If I say that, you probably think that like quite a good of them are. A good amount of them are pretty garbage, but you still love them.
Well, usually the ones that I think are garbage, I don't tend to really love.
Nice.
However, I do have a special place. Well, actually, do you know what? I have some Sonic games. Well, two Sonic
retro.
games. Here. I was looking through a bunch of my old PC games. There it is.
So I've just got that ready as well because that's going to be coming after. That's good. So it's Sonic Adventure, and then Advance, and then Heroes. I think it was the order.
So I have Sonic Riders as well, which is actually probably one of the most underrated games in the series. It is a decent racing game. It's like so futuristic style hover racing games are not. It's not really that much of an overpopulated field these days. Like on the Dreamcast, there was a game called Trick Style, and then I suppose the F-Zero games are sort of like hover racing, but it's car hover racing, right? Like sort of futuristic style racing games. They're pretty few and far between, and in my opinion, at least, Riders was a really good example of one that actually managed to not suck. Yeah, no, Trickstar was a really good game, actually. I used to play the demo all the time. It was on one of the,
A lot of franchises were kind of good to have their own racing games, and they weren't... I think everyone like sort of hopped onto a bit of a bandwagon with Mario. Well, Mario Kart kind of did theirs first. But everyone... It was surprising that a lot of other franchises did make it their own, even though it is just a kart race. You can't... I wouldn't say that CTR is just a Mario Kart rip-off, right? I would say that it's such a great game on its own, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I could go, like we were playing Magical Racing Tour, and like that is just, I know that's a bit of a meme game, but it's kind of fun. Like I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, kart races were always very much more in fashion, I think, than the kind of futuristic high-speed hover racing like your F-Zeros. And like one of the reasons why I was never so keen on Mario Kart is that I played the original Super Mario Kart relatively early on. And I actually have a Super Nintendo Classic Mini. It's just sitting in my top bunk at the moment. And having had the chance to compare it to F-Zero recently, Super Mario Kart is a slower F-Zero with shitty items and worse handling. Sorry. That's just the way it is, I'm afraid.
I've not played it. I've not played a lot of the Nintendo racing games because I've never had.
But like,
I've had Wii onwards, and so we had like Mario Kart, and Mario Kart DS.
So here's the controversial part. I actually think that the best F-Zero game is F-Zero GX, and the reason why that's controversial is because it's the one that wasn't made by Nintendo. Sega made it. Because back in the early 2000s, Sega and Nintendo, and I want to say Namco as well, collaborated on an arcade machine together that they called the Triforce. And it was based on like GameCube hardware, but it had sort of... it had Sega's like RAM disk technology for game distribution, a bunch of like technical stuff that nobody needs to care about. But long story short, there was a GameCube-based arcade machine, and it was home to games like the Mario Kart Arcade Grand Prix series and that sort of thing. But Sega and Nintendo, after Sega went third party, they had a really good relationship with Nintendo because they were trying, back when they competed with each other, they were trying to corner quite similar sections of the market. So when they stopped competing in the hardware space, they could start helping each other in that way. And Sega was always very good at developing.
With the relationship, we've managed to get Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and
yeah.
Winter Olympics, which we all love.
Yeah, so that relationship started in the early 2000s. So they ported a lot of their more kind of like family and mascot oriented games from the Dreamcast to the GameCube. So the GameCube got Sonic Adventure 2 in the form of Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, which was actually a launch game for the GameCube, and it went on to become the biggest selling GameCube game that wasn't made by Nintendo. So they did pretty well for Nintendo, basically, and Nintendo sort of granted them access to their market. But Sega as company, part of their reputation came from their long legacy of high-speed arcade 3D action games, and that included racing games. So from Outrun to Hang On to Sega Rally to Daytona USA to Scud Race and all the others. They had a long history of really, really good arcade racers. F-Zero is a futuristic arcade racer. So when Nintendo needed to develop a sequel to F-Zero X, which was on the N64, they commissioned Sega to make the GameCube version. And unfortunately, it turned out to be the best game in the entire series, and because of that, Shigeru Miyamoto would make another one. Because he said, there's no way I can top GX. And because of the fact that it was made by an external company, I'm just going to humiliate myself if I make a new F-Zero game and it's not better. So there we go.
I've seen a lot of stuff where people every time E3 comes up or any like video game awards where they always show off new games and was like, oh, can we get a new FX? It'd be surprising to see if the Switch doesn't get I know it's got Mario Kart Deluxe, but that's just what they brought out on Wii U.
Yeah.
It's I'd even go so far as to say that Mario Kart on the 3DS, which is Mario Kart 7, is almost like Mario Kart 8 is just that with a few bits added on. So it's not like it's not like they've made this is a brand new game. This is a brand new racing game, which is like, well, where are they going to get it from? Are they going to make a new Mario Kart game? And it's anybody drives a car instead of running. You think he's run?
Well, do you know something? Like I always thought that the perfect console for an F-Zero game would be the Wii. And back
with motion controls.
Yeah, literally. Well, I mean, it wouldn't have been good. However, it would have been a commercially expedient fit for what they were trying to achieve with the Wii's control gimmick at the time.
You mean like if you had it in your hand and then you sort of was holding it like
you're like tilting, like, oh my god, it's F-Zero!
You saw me do it.
You saw me do it.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that way.
We need to explain that meme to people. Actually,
no, we keep this a secret. It's a secret.
It's a secret. Shitty motion controls,
and they still exist.
I don't believe it. Yeah, no, they're still fucking like the what are they called? The nunchucks for the Switch? No,
Joy-Cons.
Joy-Cons, that's it. Yeah. They always have retarded names for like concepts that everybody else has on their console.
What, like?
But like Nintendo has exactly the same thing, but they just have like a different name for it.
Like vibration?
Cartridges. Yeah. No, cartridges, right? Video game cartridges. Nintendo called them game packs, and pack was spelled P-A-K. Game pack.
Yeah, but that's like a branding, isn't it? Like that. There's nothing really wrong with that, I guess. Where I guess where everyone like on like Xbox and PlayStation is saying discs, and they're calling it pack. So on their machine it'd say insert the game pack or whatever.
Insert game pack.
What was funny is like
official Nintendo TM game pack.
And then they added more trademark stuff. So I was telling you about, I watched that documentary that guy does on YouTube, and the making of Sonic 3 and how when they made two split cartridges, but then the other one locked on, and they made that their own like new technology, and they made that like another trademark, and it's kind of like they're just picking stuff out of everywhere to like sort of. Yeah. It's like we got Wii Motion, right? Let's add a little bit of the bottom for Wii Motion Plus, and we're gonna have it.
I'm kind of distraught that they never actually used the term Wiimote. It's like it was never an official term, but everybody called it the Wiimote. It's just like everyone calls the Xbox One the Xbone. It's like Xbone, Wiimote, and all the other little weird colloquialisms that communities come up with that the actual companies never end up using officially, even though they could.
So I'm going to just go off what Curtis has put here. So the success of the Switch may lead it to getting an entry from every Nintendo franchise. What do you reckon? Do you reckon they would? Do you reckon they would?
Yeah.
Like Animal Crossing's coming, like, and then what else is there after that?
I want to see them try making a new Earthbound.
That's kind
never
of
going to happen.
I think that door is gone. I think maybe that one's
Yeah, well,
gone.
Maybe it's a dead franchise. I don't think they're ever going to make another F-Zero game. I don't think they're ever going to make another Earthbound game. What else does Nintendo have? Kirby. There's got to be a Kirby game, right? Kirby's fantastic. I actually think that Kirby's better than
Kirby.
Mario.
Did get one, right? Kirby did get one that came out. I thought it did.
Remind me of what it was. Oh yeah, no, there's a. No, I think you're thinking of Kirby's Epic Yarn, which was a Wii U game.
Yeah, Kirby came out. I swear, Kirby game came out last year.
No,
then Donkey Kong got one on.
Years ago,
Donkey Kong got one on.
Yeah.
Kirby Star Allies. That's it.
Oh right. Is it coming out soon or is it?
I thought it was out. Oh, and DK was a port, but at least it was a DK game on the Switch. Bayonetta's on the Switch as well, but.
It came out nearly a year ago. So I was playing Kirby Superstar Collection on my Super Nintendo Classic Mini recently. I am actually genuinely really surprised by how obviously Japanese and anime inspired the art style and all the little emotes and animations are in Kirby Superstar. To the point that I'm kind of surprised that they bothered localizing it, because it's the kind of thing where a lot of video game companies, I think, in the 1990s, they didn't really have enough faith in a Western audience being able to comprehend
so what the Japanese
a game
have
or an
faith.
idea that came from a cultural reference from Japan. You probably
yeah
the Puyo Puyo games. The Puyo Puyo games are the perfect example of that, because they're obviously anime-inspired puzzle games, but they came to the West in the form of Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine on the Mega Drive, and I think actually it was a Kirby Puyo Puyo themed game on the Super Nintendo. I'm not actually sure what it was called, but
no, I don't know about that one.
Basically, so when they localized that, they repackaged it with mascots and characters and art styles that Western audiences would be more familiar with, especially with Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which was actually based on the art style from the American Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon. Which I don't think was ever even released in Japan. So yeah, there we go. But no, Kirby is obviously extremely Japanese, and it's one of the few Super Nintendo action games that I played, especially on that collection, because Donkey Kong Country doesn't really play well anymore. It's extremely clunky and frankly ugly as sin. But Kirby Superstar could have been released yesterday. I mean, it's so responsive and tight. It almost feels like I'm playing a Smash Bros. Game. In fact, Kirby in Superstar feels almost exactly the same as he does in Smash.
Oof. And how old's that game?
94.
Right, okay.
It's from 1994. I don't mean that it's 94 years old.
94 years old. Oh, but another Bayonetta is coming, but that's a second party game.
Yeah.
Metroid's coming out as well. I mean, these are going back to what we kind of went off on. We kind
of went off on one, yeah.
94 years old, my great grand played it as a wee lass.
I love it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was kind of where does it go from here? It's interesting to see how. I mean, we could just talk on and on and on and on about how video game companies have sort of done good things, done bad things, ruined the franchises that we love, sort of, or made games that we would take to the grave and say that these are the best games. It's like Crash Team Racing. It's not a bad game. Deleted.
It's sort of locking heads in the never-ending dance of the video game industry as they move past, around, and through each other. Yeah.
What I've kind of liked recently is that people with Smash coming out, everyone's kind of in hope of resurrecting these people from old games. They're hoping they get their cameo appearance in Smash, and it's kind of is that what we've come to? Is that what we've come to? That we've got to have them in a fighting game rather than having their own game? And even for Crash's sake, it's kind of I mean, we're getting a remaster is great, and I was like, oh, that night when I was like, oh my god, I made that list and I said that was my favourite game, and then 5 days later they announced the remaster for it, and I was, oh my god, where's my crystal ball? I could literally predict the lottery numbers.
Like for those of you who know exactly, what's the stock price of Bitcoin going to be in the next 5 days?
I was just,
you got to tell me, man. You got to tell me.
I was absolutely on that. I was like, I was like, could you imagine? Because we were there talking about like what games, like one game.
Exactly. So for those people who don't have context, I think it was actually Indie Gaming Channel on your server, Johnny. Me and Johnny
it was.
made top 10 video games of all time, and then like a couple of honorable mentions as well. But we limited it to one per franchise, and I think Johnny, your number one favorite game was Crash Team Racing, wasn't it?
Yeah, by a country mile. As you say, if you go out the game that you've put the most hours into, and has defined what you mark as like being the best game, that for me.
Yeah, it's the benchmark. It's your yardstick for measuring every other cultural experience by, like Sonic Adventure was for me. So, yeah. But no, it was obviously a really, really special game to you. I'm not actually sure where I put my top 10 list. I think I might have inadvertently discarded it somewhere, but I do.
It'd be up in the images somewhere, I think.
In the images, yeah.
In that abyss,
well, I'll just keep on scrolling up through it, and you keep talking.
But it was mad. We were just talking about it. It was late one evening. We were talking about our favourite games, and we were talking about this is kind of like why we've talking about this now, is all these franchises that sort of we've sort of most of the games of the top 10 were games from childhood, not so much what we've experienced recently.
Well, your number 4 was Undertale.
I didn't say all of them. I said like
I think Undertale was one of my my honorable mentions.
I think Undertale, I put that one there because of the fact that I was so against playing it, and then once I caved in, I realized that how great, how like, oh damn, it's actually like it's gone from like this. My opinion went from this to this. I don't think I've ever had that bit of a swing of opinion on a game ever, and I've kind of always sort of apologized for the way I was sort of
Thank you, by the way, ill intelligence. Chat save stream once again. So my number 1 was Sonic Adventure, Nights into Dreams. I actually, it took a lot of sort of reflection and thinking about what games I really liked.
So I'm about to play his favorite game this weekend ever. Like that's a lot. I'm nervous now. I'm nervous. I'm having rubbish in it.
It's a lot of pressure, Johnny. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're rubbish at it, honestly. It really doesn't. I'm probably going to suck at some of the Crash games, and
probably Crash 1. I think you'll probably suck at Crash 1 the most.
There are certain things about Sonic Adventure that you need to bear in mind while playing it, and the biggest one is it's a product of its time. And what I mean by that is not that it is typical of games that were released during that era. What I mean is that it's like a vertical snapshot, like a kind of nanosecond snapshot of every single section, like a vertical slice of the entire industry. And you'll see what I mean when you play it. It has a pet raising mini game because it's the late 90s and Pokemon and Tamagotchi are popular. You know, it has a kart racing mini game because everybody had a kart racer. But you know, we desperately need to launch this game for the launch of our brand new console, which we need to prove to the entire industry can do everything that every other console has ever been able to do and more. So this game has to include absolutely everything. Yeah. There's a pinball mini game because now we can do ball and bouncing physics in 3D.
Yeah, I watched
all of it to showcase. There's a snowboarding and sandboarding mini game because it's the 90s and extreme sports and, you know,
MTV.
Exactly, right? Yeah, no, exactly. So it's like it's the kind of, yeah, it's a kind of mind map of the popular media culture industry as it was basically in December 1998.
Yeah.
But distilled through the lens of a Sonic the Hedgehog game. It really is like that too. And
that's
the
market you had. That's the market you had to attack in. That like the 90s is sort of the era where it's people who are teenagers. No one really above their age is going to have gone onto these game consoles. They just wouldn't. So they had to target young adult audience. And yeah, you're absolutely right with the fact that we got snowboarding, sneak and skateboard and all that kind of stuff. And it's like what are the TV channels that people are watching? Oh, Nickelodeon, MTV, those kind of like all those like channels they've got to go on. And yeah, it was and I see that
it's a response. It's a response to everything that was wrong with Sega during the previous generation, right? Because they had a very over-engineered, technically limiting console in the form of the Saturn, which wasn't so great at rendering these big sort of adventure game capable 3D worlds. While the N64 was great at it and the PlayStation could be made to do it, the Saturn really, it wasn't designed for that. And they also had a CEO in Sega of America who refused to localize JRPGs and Japan-specific games. So they made sure that not only was Sonic Adventure going to be the best of what Japanese development at the time had to offer, and also, in so being quintessentially Japanese, but they were going to attack, a global audience by, they took global cultural influences for Sonic Adventure, right? There are sort of ancient temples and jungles and deserts that they go to, and the developers really did. They did go to South American temples and jungles and deserts, and the pictures that they took there were cropped and turned into textures for the game.
Yeah,
it's 100% real and authentic.
I saw that about Sonic Unleashed, that they went to. So that rooftop runs all it looks like Florence, and it's like it looks like that. I think it's kind of the same with like the fact that even I'd say Sonic Heroes was even the casino levels. As soon as I ever played it for the first time, I'm thinking, damn, this looks like that. This looks like Vegas.
They're very good at kind of surrealizing elements of the real world to achieve the kind of the Sonic aesthetic, but that it's still obvious what the real life analog of what you're seeing would be.
Well, kids saw it as like, oh my god, I'm playing someone that's traveling the world, right? That's exciting.
Yeah. So like the first level of Sonic Adventure is a beach level, but it has to be seamlessly blended with the kind of Sonic house style, I guess, so that it's obvious that it's a realistic looking beach with water and sand and boardwalks and hotels and that sort of thing. But the player needs to be discouraged from even thinking twice about the fact that there are bounce pads and loop-de-loops and robots everywhere. It's a very delicate balance to strike, because Sonic 06 landed kind of firmly in the uncanny valley, but Sonic Adventure was just anime-styled enough. In its original Dreamcast version, it was just anime-style enough to be able to get away with that kind of unreality, I suppose.
Can't wait till we get to Sonic 06. I can't wait.
That game.
We're so this is what we're going with. So we're going back on like the Sonic streams now. We're sort of going from a low. So I think that it was a low. I think that the first game was not like, it's very. It's such a hit and miss, and it was a miss. It was a miss for me. Yeah, it was a big miss for me. But they picked up, went up to Sonic CD now, and I think that was very surprising as to how what you.
It's no use. Take this.
Do you do two?
Who does do? Is it me?
Is it
or
me?
Is it Johnny?
It doesn't matter. It's all about being emotional. We're passionate. This is a passionate stream.
Really, they call it gesticulation.
Cool name. Welcome, man. While I'm thinking, CX in the chat, boys. We sort of went up. We went up. Sonic 2 was alright, average. Then we put Sonic CD at 8. I've never ever thought that something. I wasn't really excited for something that was. I wasn't. For someone who's only played the 3D games, I was like, I know that Sonic 2D, and I always thought that was not going to be very enjoyable.
Not for you, no.
Sonic CD took me by surprise, and I feel like it was a lot of. I thought I wasn't too bothered about, like they said, well, you had a lot of this bad time in the last level, and to me, it didn't really bother me that much. I was just having a lot of fun with the fact that the music was on point.
The music is absolute jam.
The music's on point. The actual mechanics is great with the time traveling. I thought that was really, really fun, even though I didn't really get it, but I thought it was quite fun. And you just went fast. You felt like this is what the game is made to do. And I know it's kind of sad that it was that. Oh, once I've experienced that, I'm probably not going to get this until Mania, which is like right at the end of the list.
Yeah.
And we're finishing on Forces, the big bang on.
I really, do you know something? I really hope that Sega pulls a fast one.
And, brings out a new game before I get to the end.
Brings out like an actually good Sonic game before you have to finish on Forces.
It was actually good. I was actually thinking that. I was like, oh, that would be a. We could finish on Sega Bass Fishing maybe.
No, do you know something? I think you'll get enough of that in Sonic Adventure. Not to spoil anything.
Yeah, I've heard about the cat mini game.
Oh no, it's not a mini game. He's one of the 6 playable characters.
Oh right, so you've got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh okay, right. Okay.
It's mandatory, my friend.
Mandatory fishing.
Yeah, no, mandatory fishing. Sonic Adventure, mandatory fishing.
Yep.
Don't ask me what 90s cultural slice that.
Gotta go fast.
No. Okay, so the Chow Garden. Okay, I'm going to talk to chat for a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Education time. I'm gonna have a sweet while you're.
The thing that I love almost more than anything else, and I was kind of hesitant to tell Johnny this, but one of the things that I love the most about his streams is when an absolute tip top banger comes.
Banger alert.
yeah. When like a really amazing piece of music comes on and he starts dancing. I think it's like it. Near the beginning, go back to the VOD near the beginning of his Sonic CD stream, and when just as the stream starts and he comes on camera, and the music starts going, and the drums kick in, it goes the and he starts. It's like the funniest fucking thing.
Because it's good. Because it's so good.
Show them the GIF, man. Show them the GIF.
I know what that is. No, don't open that.
Yeah, teleportation. Yeah, shubba-da-booyah. I believe. Was the line in the song, and that just sets him off. It's great. But no, okay. So when he hears the music to the Chow Garden, specifically the Chow Garden music, he's gonna absolutely just have a bit of a bop. It's so good.
I was thinking. No, I was when I've been listening to that song. When I'm listening to some of the songs that are going to be upcoming. I was thinking of having on my stream deck, pressing a button, and it's just going to come with a big alert, just saying right banger alert, and everyone's just going to start dancing. Oh,
totally. You do have your own. You do have your own Shower Plus for sure.
I need one. I think. I need to make one. I've got that GIF in the Discord, but I kind of need to make a GIF where it's not got that white background. Or
if we could, you need to do Rayman 3 on stream at some point.
Oh no!
And
oh no!
Yeah. And,
no.
You know exactly where I'm going with this. And we've got to have a full body cam so we can watch you.
No, it's not happening. It's not happening. Maybe if we've got the space. Fortunately enough, we don't have the space here. But maybe if we've got a big room, if we've got a big room, we can. Oh, I hate it. Oh. It kind of got me thinking though. I've gone out of focus. There we go. There's so much stuff that people are telling me about the Sonic Adventure games. I'm like, I don't know what bit I'm gonna either enjoy it or die on or ruin or whatever. But
Okay. Unironically, the bit that has aged perfectly, and that was always incredibly ambitious, but they hit their target, and it has retained all the quality that it had in the day, and probably has obtained a lot more kind of cultural prestige since then. The soundtrack, the Sonic Adventure soundtrack, is really, really good.
That's it, man. We don't want to.
You will like it. You will like it a lot. And when you first launch and boot up the game, make sure that everybody can see the intro, the little intro movie, because it's banging.
We don't want to overhype it, overspoil it.
I don't want to overhype it. But the soundtrack.
I don't think any of them were overhyped. Well, none of them have been overhyped that much. I've kind of just know that. Look, the only game we can't overhype is Sonic Heroes. That's the only game we can't overhype, because that is going to be like, that's my territory, and that's the one that we're not actually going to be. We're not actually be plebs on.
Yeah, no. Do you know something? So I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with Sonic Heroes over the years.
No, you can't say that.
No, I
can't say
that.
About this before. You can't say hate and Sonic Heroes in the same sentence, because it's just unfair what everyone has ever said about that game, about it being rubbish. It's the best game.
It got solid 8s out of 10.
That's not good enough. It should have been 10s. Shut up. I'm gonna
Sorry, hard.
Yeah, except that's the only sentence you can say. I hate people who don't like Sonic Heroes. That is a perfectly justified sentence. Yeah, Sonic Heroes is like, it's still ahead of its time.
What?
You heard it here first.
In what capacity is it ahead of its? Was it ever ahead of its time?
The soundtrack.
Is that it? You just want to have a jam to fucking Mystic Mansion, don't you?
Look, I can't do anything because I just start laughing.
Go on, play the music in the background. Do you have song requests on at the moment?
No, but I can.
Oh, don't put it on. Don't put it on. But like, play the Mystic Mansion music and like the specific bit that everybody loves.
I kill him. This is how I kill him. Hang Castle's great because it sort of goes, ooh, ooh, ah!
Oh my god! All right, so, oh god, and this is the point where if you were right here with me at the moment, you'd be going, "Why are you crying, Craig?"
I don't sound like that. What you crying for?
I'm not even watching the stream. Like, I'm not even watching the stream at the moment. I can't actually see what he was doing, but I can imagine it. Are you playing it in the background now?
Yeah, boy.
Based. It's too good. It's too good. Anyway, no, my surname is Craig, for those of you who wondered. Find me on Facebook. Don't. But, like, yeah. They say never trust a man with two first names. I have 5 first names, because my middle names are all first names, and my real name is also a first name.
Jack Craig is James Bond's bro. Could be. We never know.
Exactly. The name is Craig. Jack Craig. Oh no, you mean like Daniel Craig, James Bond. Sorry, not the fact that I'm a man of mystery and I'm like a.
You are a bit mysterious.
Bible.
A bit mysterious.
Yeah, I'm a dog, Mr. And I have a license to kill. Yeah. So I unfortunately I can't do impressions of all the different James Bonds. However, I can do 4 different versions of Sonic. The 4 different voice actors that he's had.
I don't know which I can't do it.
Did you ever see any of the cartoons back in the day?
Oh, do you know what I was watching just before? There's a meme of so this is like an anime reference, but in JoJo he plays the poker game. So I watched the Sonic episode where he plays strip poker with Tails. Come on.
What?
Yeah, he plays strip poker. Have you not seen that?
No.
Yeah, it's in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah. Well, of course it's. I knew what cartoon it would have been from.
Well,
I've never
waiting.
We're waiting. You know
Did
that
I
guy
mention
is,
this is strip poker?
Did I mention this is strip poker? Yeah, no, it's the guy who voices him is Jaleel White. And Jaleel White is most famous for 2 things. Firstly, he was Steve Urkel in the American sitcom Family Matters, and his dance, the Urkel, was like a sort of like meme dance. It was a little bit like
what we're talking about
back in the day. Yeah, Urkel. Yeah, he was Urkel, and he was also he played CeeLo Green in a CeeLo Green music video because CeeLo Green was not like attractive enough to. Well, not fit enough to dance in his own videos, not attractive enough to be the character that he was singing as in that particular video. So they chose Jaleel White instead. There you go.
Soon TM, that's absolutely right.
Yeah,
That's fair enough.
I am coming back soon,
Fair enough.
TM. Yeah, absolutely. Go on, head over to twitch.tv/ShinonStreams and check out my Discord, my YouTube channel, and subscribe to all of my social media and other official outlets
Perfectly good
for
shout out.
my grand reopening. At some point,
This is the prequel. This is kind of like how
this is the prequel. No, I need to do 3, and then we can have like a prequel trilogy.
yeah.
And in the 3rd one, I will recite the whole of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise
right
from memory. Well,
this is
It's all
what
up in
getting his feet back on Twitch. Yes.
Yeah,
Shinon,
exactly. Yeah, no, I'm revamping my presence.
Shinon was a well, it's fair to say that the majority of the streams was music production, and it was very, very. I think one thing that I can say about the way that Shinon does his streams, Mr. Shinon streams, is that he has a lot of knowledge. Like, it's quite baffling as to how much knowledge. As soon as he's like sat there talking about what they called them things on talking about different various knobs and things like that on music making.
What faders? And...
Well, I can't remember what they were called, and I used to laugh. No, I used to laugh every time that you used to add them on, and I can't remember what they're called in like FL Studio, and I can't. Oh God, it's gonna annoy me now.
Separators, chorus, limiter, compressor.
No, it was like a stupid.
What?
It was like a stupid name.
Nexus.
No, it was like it just sounded.
It just sounded kind of wrong.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm gonna have to find out. What.
Channel sources, mixer strips, or I don't know. Playlist.
I can't remember what it's called.
I'm just listing a
Stop
bunch of things.
listing music words at me.
Like a bunch of things that I would have generally like sit there and have lots of in FL Studio. It's so much easier. Do you know something? Like streaming makes music production a lot easier, right? Because it focuses you and gets you talking about the reasons why you're going through the processes that you're going through. Because you can't just do something on stream and not like explain it or narrate it and talk about it. So you have to. It was Gain.
No, it wasn't Gain. No, shut up. That's not funny.
No, it's not funny. Yeah, no. So like,
no, I'm not. It's not about you, Curtis. It's him because he's.
You have to
He's misbehaving.
Verbalize and actualize what you're considering doing. And soon after articulating it in that way, you realize what parts of it are a good idea, what parts of it are a bad idea. If your explanation is taking longer than you actually doing it, then what can you do to shorten your explanation, or if your action is taking too long, you start to work out like little workflow tweaks and optimizations on the fly so you can produce the stuff faster. Of course, the problem with streaming music production is that by the time the full track comes out, if the full track ever comes out, your audience is so sick of hearing it because they've heard it for the full 20 plus hours.
Let's backtrack a bit, because I think that my opinion was, it was very interesting to see how someone I know who knows a lot about music go through a proper music production, like and actually explain what's going on, because it's, people might just think, oh, it's just like drag and drop audio in clips into and just putting them together like a big jigsaw, and then
it's nothing like
pressing play and then seeing what happens. Oh no, it's not like that. It's not. I know it's not like that because I've watched streams, and then so I don't think you can sort of go into it where I don't think you can go into where the idea that, oh, if I do that 20 hours of music production, no one's going to want to hear the finished one. I don't think that's kind of true. They'd want to just say that, "Look, we've just watched this whole thing and it's actually it's stonking," well, and then they might even then just share it out themselves. Like that's what you've got to sort of think. You've got to make it up the top with your audience, and then they'll go and share it out.
I developed a kind of list of do's and don'ts of music production streaming. It's like, don't spend too long, because my rating process is basically listen to a bunch of tracks from which I want to draw inspiration, and then like I will cut like specific sections out of them and play and stop them in Audacity a couple of times, and I'll like close my eyes and think, and like a melody or chord sequence will usually evolve from the inspiration that I've taken. But it takes a lot of, opening up Audacity, playing something in my headphones, and then I'll go into my microphone like or something like that. And then I'll think, oh, it's too similar to this song, or it's too similar to something that I've done already, so I'll re-sing it slightly differently. And after iteration after iteration after iteration, you get your finished melody, and then you have to build a new chord sequence around that, and kind of transcribe it by ear and by hand into FL Studio, and that's how I do it. And sometimes you will get an instance in which the lyrics and melody come at the same time, and that shit's like fairy dust. You've got a good chorus and melody when that happens. But sometimes you just need to retrofit lyrics to a melody that you've just written. It's not really so much of a problem.
Ooh.
So how are you doing? Just talking too much about music production. Anyway,
no, don't worry about that. We just had a follow. Thank you very much, Mr. Simon Iddle. Thank you very much,
Simon Sir. Simon says, follow Mussy Dutch, and also Shinon streams at some point in the future.
Well, okay, you've had your shout out.
Wonderful. Shinon shout out.
Shinon sell out. I think going back to as a viewer, right? So I think that definitely on these music streams, show what tracks you're going to be taking your inspiration from, and then people will be like, "Ooh, now, Mr. Shinon, how are you going to fit them into your track?" Well, blah 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 blah. I will do this and I will do that, and I will stitch them all together with my nice little connectors or whatever. And I don't know what the correct music terminology is.
I have like a the true music producer's keyboard here. My little Logitech K400. Basically because like I don't know how the fuck people do this, right? Never in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 desks that I have owned in as many years, and all the different student accommodations and sort of like my main home accommodation that I've lived in. Never have I ever had a desk on which I can comfortably fit my monitor or laptop at a decent reading distance and a keyboard and mouse, and then have enough space under the table for my legs. Ever. Not ever have I ever had a desk like that. So usually I end up, I just bought myself like a massive monitor that I could stick in the middle of the table. Let me just set my food tray down on the ground so that I can show you what I usually do. And I have like a wireless keyboard and mouse on my lap, and I sit here, get my knees up, Mother Brown, and with my legs crossed.
And knees on stream.
Yeah, and just like type and record and stuff like this. And I'll have my mouse here, and I'll use it on the arm of my chair or whatever. But basically, like, people wonder why I don't play first-person shooters, and like, that's the reason why, man. Because my total mouse mat space is like my thigh, and those who know me know that I don't have massive thighs. So
it's very
it's very ghetto, my whole setup. Like, I don't know how people keep places clean. My desk is like covered in USB and audio and like
I've just got a little figure here. This is my little figure that sits on my desk. Oh, there's a Euro account on.
That's cool.
Came from Japan.
No desk space. You see, I try and set it up like that. Ill Intelligence. He just posted a link in
Discord.
Mossy Dutch's Discord server, which, by the way, you should definitely join either when the bot posts a link or by looking in the description below the video playback window. A picture of his own desk setup, and he's managed to fit.
Yeah, mine's like that.
A keyboard and mouse. Okay, so but your keyboard doesn't have a 10-key numpad on it. My laptop does, so I guess there's that. But like, I just don't get it. I don't.
That being said, I think this desk must go. It has 3 edges on it, right? That's what I kind of want. I want a proper right angle one. I need like the 3-monitor dream at some point. I think when I go. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, like, I could generally handle 2 monitors because what I used to do for streaming is I would have like an auxiliary monitor in the form of my laptop screen that I would have over on one side, where I could do things that I didn't necessarily want the stream people seeing, like fiddle with OBS. And I can't see what you're doing, and it sounds like you're having a wrestling match.
No, I'm just moving my chair. Sorry.
That's fine. So furniture rearrangement and interior design with Mossy Dutch.
Do you know when someone's talking about furniture, and it's kind of like, oh, I'm a bit conscious about my furniture now. Oh, I don't think that's in the right place.
I'm a bit conscious about my furniture. I've got a big, massive fucking.
I want to be my monitor now.
Like this is the towel that I used to dry my balls when I came out of the shower a couple of days ago, and that's just straight up in my backdrop.
We're past the watershed now, aren't we?
Really don't give a shit. Yeah, well, I'm swearing all over the place. But no, basically, like, I have like the main monitor with my music production stuff and anything that I need to be able to see in really clear detail directly in front of me and what I want the audience to see. And then I have like the auxiliary monitor for doing things that I want to hide from them, like, you know, changing OBS scene or banning people or opening links. I always make sure
that's all you're hiding.
links have to open on the right-hand monitor in case somebody sent me like gay furry porn and I'll get banned on Twitch for opening it or something like that. And I always like mute the desktop audio whenever I open a link to, just in case I get linked to a video of like somebody screaming the N-word or whatever.
Yeah, well, no, it's fair enough. You've got
in case I get linked to heated gaming moment.mp4.
You've got to be careful. I know it's a bit of a meme, but like, but you do have to be careful. It's a lot more people go on Twitch. A lot more happens. We're kind of touching a bit on it, last week. Last week was kind of our first attempt at doing like a sort of podcast thing, and as an easy topic to go for was kind of how I see Twitch in general, and I was going on about how it was more the fact that there was a lot of people on Twitch at the moment. But I guess that what I see is that there's a lot of people who go, the fact that especially if all the female streamers, they say they're getting all harassment all the time, and then
Twitch thoughts.
Great, wrong. Twitch can't say that. All female streamers and male streamers and all kind of streamers are all respected as great individuals and great content creators.
Well, it depends on how good they are at streaming. There's absolutely nothing. By the way, like, for real though, there's absolutely nothing wrong with going on a live stream and shaking the tartars, and if you want to write the words.
Hey, you had a plate of potatoes. You were shaking your tartars. They were dripping with they were dripping with butter, and you were shaking them. So don't stop.
I was jiggling my dripping tartars. But no, basically, if you want to take a massive fucking Sharpie pen, stand in front of a mirror and write the words "donate to my white ass" on your boobies and jump up and down and go, "Hey boys, let's get some money up in here," and hey, let's go make some crazy money on.
No, don't ruin Crazy Tags.
You are perfectly welcome and entitled to do so. And in fact, I actually think that Twitch's rules on nudity are far too strict, and that there is a serious economy in sexually objectified streaming that is left untapped at the moment. So, fucking mad respect to everyone who does that. If you want to open yourself up to thousands of simultaneous viewers and accidentally nip slip, that's going to have the shit clipped out of it, and that pictures of your boobs are going to be on the internet for the rest of the time. But taking ownership of that risk is an investment decision, really, and I respect that, because it's a high risk, high reward strat. So there you go.
Yeah, let's sort of rewind a bit there. Take it, bring it all back to you.
I'm sorry. Has somebody just implied that I literally ever iron my shirt?
Yeah, we went to uni. I don't think he knows. I think the only iron he's ever experienced is on Minecraft. Manvian, welcome. He said boobies would make like a big given man virginity back.
What, boobies?
You said tartars. You said tartars before.
Tartars and boobies. Look, you should actually hear me talk about sex with my friends. I made the mistake when I was in it.
I don't think we can have. We don't think we can have a. We might have to have a not safe for work.
I made
Discord meeting at some point.
Oh, come on! If you're watching the stream at work and you're not wearing headphones, then you deserve to be fired, frankly, because that shit's just annoying. So I made the mistake in a Discord call when we were discussing sexual matters last night of calling it bonking, and that was a bit of an error. See, the problem, Curtis, is that. I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Gets everywhere.
It does.
It's not ever where you want it to be.
Yeah, they feel like bags of sand.
That's why it's in a bag.
Yeah, exactly. Better on the beach than in a bag, I would say. That's good sexual advice for you.
But there was an interesting.
But that butt can also be a sexual thing. I would like to stick my interesting point up the
However, I would like to sort of go back to something that you did say in that little mini speech. I absolutely agree that you can sort of call out people for not having. I think you should be able to kind of call out the people who are clearly not doing anything content worthy on Twitch and say that, look, this is what you're doing, right? And then say, please argue with me as to if I'm right or wrong. I can also want to call out people who sort of are scamming fellow streamers, who put in hard work to try and get the views. They don't go everywhere to say follow for follow, support for support, all that nonsense. They just say, I'm going live. They've made the network friends, they're going live, and then they just show up. And the people who want to watch will show up. People who want to watch the VODs after will watch the VODs after. But we should be in... I know there's a question as to what dictates what is and what isn't content.
How do you dictate what is and what isn't content?
Right, so exactly, right.
There's an easy answer to that question. Is that content creators actually have no responsibility to other content creators, or even necessarily to their audience, until a sort of mutually contractual relationship is formed between the two. If you are being paid in any form of officiated currency by your audience, then you would have to fulfill the obligations promised to them. So really, the only obligation that a streamer has to their audience is don't lie about the content that you produce. So there you go. And it's actually like there was an economic philosopher named Milton Friedman who argued that the only responsibility that a corporation has to its society and community is to deliver profit without misleading people, basically. And as long as you don't actively and intentionally mislead your audience, then it's okay. So it's no good jiggling your boobies around and going, please donate to my titty stream, and then out of the other side of your mouth, when Polygon comes around and asks you for an interview about the mean comments that neo-Nazi PewDiePie said about your Twitch stream, you then say, oh, well, I'm not a sexual streamer at all. It's like, no, you're a disingenuous little shitbag, and you're lying to people. So yeah, as long as you tell the truth and are genuine in your intentions, then you can sell literally anything you want to anybody, and as long as it's not illegal or oppressing somebody else's legal rights, then you should be well within your rights to do so. They could be honestly, I'm up for official Twitch sponsored weed smoking streams if somebody wants to do it. Like literally, go nuts.
I think
I was a subscriber to Custom Grow 420 on YouTube before he unfortunately got banned. Rest in peace, Papa. I even based my Twitch intro on his. Like, I love it so much. But basically, like, there's room in the Twitch communities, because it's not just one community, right? It's a cottage industry, but there's room in that industry for a wide, and, if you'll excuse the use of the word, diverse range of communities, and even within those communities, a diverse range of streamers. So, you know, if you think you can get sponsors for getting some inner thigh too close to your webcam, then you go for it. But if you have to play video games and stream music production like the rest of us, you can do that too. So there we go.
It's almost like there is a battle that I think everyone sort of knows is there about the way that some of the content on Twitch is just wrong. But it's trying to fight it it's just a losing battle, and there's nothing that is probably going to change it. It's only probably going to get worse and worse unless Twitch sort of change their attitudes. But it's getting them to change it, and I don't think that's gonna happen, especially with the way that we don't. It's not like with the way that like culture is in general, the way that it's, we've seen the way that even like. I don't know the best way to say this is, but the way that we're like, terms of political correctness have changed and changed and changed, and I don't think they're just going to sort of do a big U-turn and come back.
No, probably not. Not unless like, not
if the razor companies have anything to do with it, because look what they're doing. They know it's like let's make a message, and we don't even know. Everyone just forgot what they were meant to be selling. It was really a commercial.
Yeah.
I get what they were trying to do. I'll just say that first. I get the message, but it wasn't a commercial. They said it was a commercial, and it's not a commercial. That I kind of think is not the right way to go about it. But
yeah,
but that's I think the message is kind of fine. I think it's just always there's just going to be people who are going to agree and disagree with the way that things happen. And I guess we sort of keep ourselves to Twitch. We don't sort of like I want to keep myself talking about Twitch. I don't really want to go off and talk about politics, because that's just going to like spawn
alienate some of your audience. But no, I was kind of talking about the streamers from a purely from a contractual the perspective of contractual principles and economics and that sort of thing. But yeah, you know, there's always a kind of ancillary debate on the side of that, of the reasons why certain Twitch affiliates, audiences, presses, and commentators perceive the intents of certain types of streaming content, or the relationship that content and those opinions have to one's personal politics, without getting into the ultra specifics of that field. So there we go. I hope I've decently obfuscated the subject matter for everybody listening, and let's move on to the next thing. So what's on the agenda for tonight?
Well, we went from talking about our childhood video games to
Twitch thoughts.
Yeah. But there was an agenda. 90 minute. What's on the agenda? Well, we kind of went through. We kind of going for the main sort of talking. I know, like chat. Let's just calm down. Chat.
Everybody. Yeah.
I wanted to bring. So I did want to bring Shin on anyway. I wanted to bring him on tonight's stream because it was the main focus was the fact that I'm doing the Sonic Challenge, was going through all of his his main childhood games, and I wanted to sort of experience what it would be like to experience a full franchise that someone's got a lot of passion for, and then the way that I hope that he's gonna come back on his streams, and it's just a very. Maybe it can do some sort of favour for him to sort of make sure that give a bit of exposure anyway before he comes back, because I am a huge, I completely 100% back. Say not to sound like back his streams. I'm not. That sounds like I'm backing a deal of some sort. No, I completely back his streams, and they're really, really good. So do make sure you to drop a follow as well, and do check out his. I think the good news is that he is on track to be coming back soon with the internet upgrade.
Hopefully.
Am I right?
Fingers crossed. Either we're going to be getting fiber here, or I'm going to be moving to somewhere that has it. Because basically, like, I have a bit of a time limit for coming back to Twitch. If I'm not streaming again within the space of probably like a couple of months, or maybe even a few weeks, they're going to cut my monetization and my affiliate ship. Because
you get that back. You get that back quick though.
Yeah, I'll get that back quick, but like at the same time, it's still
it's doable in a week. I would not worry about that at all. That's just sort of like that should be like. That'd just be a minor inconvenience you're gonna have to get back over. I'm sure that we can all.
But you know, it's not going to be an issue. It's not going to be an issue if I can restart before then anyway, so it's not too bad.
Talk about games like Catherine. Oh, that's a Sega game. What do you think? Did you ever play Catherine?
I never played it, unfortunately. Yeah, sadly.
So you've not actually been you've not played. So we just thought Sega is your favourite games publisher then?
Well, I mean, they were for a time. Like, I like a certain era of Sega games from. I would say like the late 80s to the early 2000s, basically, when they had that kind of purple patch and they were right in the cultural limelight. You know, I have a book actually, a massive book that I found that was released in early 2001, and it's a list of the top 100 British brands, not British brands, but top 100 brands in the UK, so in Britain, and. Nintendo's not in there. Sega's in there. Sony's in there, but because of the Walkman and the DVD and all of their kind of technological innovations, not because of their games. But Sega's in there. Sega's definitely in there. So, you know, they used to be much more of a driving, leading cultural force than they are now. And when they were at the forefront of all of that, they had the leeway and the adventurousness and, I guess, sense of artistry to experiment. I can't imagine them ever making an equivalent to Jet Set Radio nowadays. That kind of innovation doesn't come from that company anymore.
It doesn't come from many companies now. It's sort of
exactly.
A lot of the creativeness now comes from indie companies that bring stuff out. That's the only kind of creativeness, or people like even the only really place we even get that kind of stuff anymore. I guess Nintendo. Nintendo kind of in its own its own
I actually
space doing their thing with all their characters, and everyone's kind of like just like, you can do that. You're absolutely fine. Go and doing your own thing with those characters. But in terms of what Sony bring out, what Blizzard bring out, what Activision and everyone like that, it's nothing like. There's only really like Anthem that's coming out that's like thinking that this is the only thing that's not a sequel. But even then, Anthem's kind of like, well, you're just sort of taking bits from other games, like sort of it's a bit of Destiny, there's a bit of Titanfall in it, or something that kind of. It's a bit losing a bit of creativity, and I don't think it's kind of sad that it was like that, but now it's kind of not.
The technology was I guess a lot more intensive flux back in the day. So, like, if you think about it this way, that there really was no equivalent to, or rather, I think there is now no equivalent to the way that Sonic Team used to be in the late 90s and early 2000s. So in 1996, they released Nights into Dreams, which was the first video game ever to support analog joypad control, which is amazing. And then 1997, they had Burning Rangers, which was like an actual technical masterpiece for the console it was released on. And it was like simultaneous water and fire effects. It was basically like a techno-futuristic firefighting game, which doesn't sound super exciting, but it was like kind of corridor dungeon crawling 3D action. It was awesome. The year after that, they released Sonic Adventure. Another year after that, it's Choo Choo Rocket, one of the pioneering online multiplayer games. The next year, we had Samba de Amigo, which introduced the world of infrared motion control tracking to consoles, and it was the same technology, basically. Like, stop me if this sounds familiar, but they released for the Dreamcast a infrared sensor bar that you place just below your TV, and you have a couple of controllers that you hold in either hands that you waggle in different directions, and oh my god, it's the Wii.
I was going to open that up to chat to see if maybe they knew. We could have a little quiz then.
Exactly right, but the console version of Samba de Amigo was like the forerunner to the Wii. A year later, Phantasy Star, first MMO RPG, or MMO even in general, to ever have hit a game console. All the previous ones had been far less developed experiences and exclusively on PC. So, like, they were really at the cutting edge at the time, but there's only so much new technology that comes out on a yearly or even decadely basis, right? And aside from maybe VR, I don't see that the technological mainstream of the game industry has been ready to embrace huge enough paradigm shifts for us to be impressed by developers taking advantage.
It's not really anything that sort of. You're kind of right. There's nothing that sort of goes, wow, that's impressive. Like we kind of just we kind of just like sort of hype up the fact that it's just like a kind of a new story for the franchise we like, or we say that this looks good, and the biggest thing they make is how nice it looks. But it's not always about how nice it looks.
Even that, like that, it's the sort of how nice it looks, or like it's the same gameplay experiences, but now you can take the console out of its little dock and play it on the go. You know, it's like the same games, just sort of new contexts in which to play them. But they still play the same, right? Because it's still buttons on a controller at the end of the day and a screen that you look at. But no, there haven't been any like really huge leaps. I guess in terms of graphical evolution, we have ray tracing, but that wasn't particularly well received. I can explain in great detail.
Because it's kind of just there for the sake of it.
Yeah, it doesn't really change the way that game. Unless you had a game that was like really intensive on reflections and used that as a sort of gameplay feature.
No, it's there. The concept's there though. Like it's ready and like. But just all games don't need it. We don't need this kind of like this
ray tracing.
It's just we've already got like when we have the hardware for it to be installed in the game, it's like there's no game that needs it. There's no game that needs it. It's just
it's in consoles. It's just like the problem with ray tracing at the moment is like performance, the way it's implemented, and what could have been done with that chip space, that die space, instead of adding like ray tracing specific cores. Because like how they do it on the NVIDIA cards is like you have your general process GPU cores, which are just like they're basically like floating point or integer units that do calculations in the same kind of way that a CPU does. They're programmable, right? They're not fixed pipeline. They're general purpose computers, effectively, GPUs, and it's what makes them good for cryptocurrency mining, etc., etc., etc. But the ray tracing cores are ASICs. They are application-specific integrated circuits. In other words, they can only do ray tracing. So something like 25+% of the GPU die space is taken up by these cores that are only good for one specific part of the render process. And if that game doesn't use that one specific type of rendering, that one like ray tracing feature, they sit there dormant, not doing anything. That's the bit I think that has people a little bit angry. Can you imagine how much more impressive those chips would have been if they were the same size, but the entire die space was taken up by the general purpose cores? How much better would they have performed in conventional games? Quite a bit. Enough to simulate reflections using traditional rendering without having to add the ray tracing cores? Yeah, actually, probably. It's a shame. It's a shame that that's what they went for when they did. And is it going to be widely adopted in game engines, in individual games, in consoles, and across different hardware vendors and manufacturers? No, because the only implementation that we have so far is proprietary to DirectX, which means it's never going to appear in that form on a PlayStation console or on Linux or Mac OS. And it's proprietary to NVIDIA. So the only people who will ever be able to experience it are Windows gamers, and if the next Xbox has NVIDIA components, maybe, and only the market share that has RTX-enabled NVIDIA products. It's just like, it is such a proof of concept designed to hoodwink early adopters that, it's not really worth buying into. And I can tell you're falling asleep.
No, I was reading Curtis's messages. No, don't say that, because it's like no, we're fine. I was just reading what Curtis was saying. It was interesting to see a response there. So
yeah. So the general thing is, so this comment's really interesting. Once you get so close to realism matter, that is the law of diminishing returns. Going from 1 million polygons per second to 10 million polygons per second is a massive leap. Going from 10 million to 100 million, not really so much. The PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 could generate about 300 million polygons. We haven't been limited by that particular factor of rendering, the polygon count, for example, since then. But it's worth thinking that if our polygon generating capacity hasn't really improved since then, what else needn't have been? Or if we weren't being held back by the polygon count, then what else were we not being held back by? And let's focus on improving the things that we can use to actually make the games look better and run better, rather than being like, hey, if you turn a few settings down, you might get 60 frames per second at 1080p on this literally $1,000 graphics card. It's like, you're fucking taking the piss out of me, man.
It's kind of a thing. It's kind of it's a situation, this thing where all the console makers and like the people who make the graphics cards are kind of expecting some of the blame has got to on what you've just said there about, maybe turn your settings down, then maybe get your 60 FPS on a graphics card that costs you $1,000. Some of that's partly not to do with the fact of what them people are making. It's like games like people bring out garbage on Steam, and it's not always the fault of these massive publishing companies. It's kind of people who make these like let's say Atlas. You know about Atlas, right? The pirate game. It just came out on Steam. That was like it's like the worst game on Steam right now.
Oh, dude. Okay, that's fair enough.
But it's like they'll bring that out, and then they've. I was gonna say. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh,
right.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, the Arc reskin. Yeah, but like it's like an indie company, but they're expecting to they try and get the graphics card to go and push it. They push them out at max capabilities. It's indie, and I don't really understand that. It's kind of why do we not have like this sort of Goldilocks zone of graphics where people can just make it nice for no matter people who do pay for high expensive graphics cards should have that experience because they paid that much money for it. But then sometimes they're getting the same experience as someone who's got something on has only paid like £500 or not, like that's a lot. Even £500 is a lot. Maybe they've only spent like £250 on a graphics card, and I've spent like 500.
I've never spent more than 130 on a graphics card. Me, not ever.
And it's kind of like those people might end up still having the same experiences because of the way that all these graphics problems get treated.
Oh what? So
I'm not just going on about the fact that do we need RTX? Do we need to be as realistic as possible? I'm trying to like sort of say that all these like people who bring out games are sort of don't even bother optimizing their games either. They don't.
So that's a big problem. You're going to notice this. You're going through obviously the Sonic games at the moment, as we have discussed at great length.
Well, that's why you're here
in this conversation. Yeah, but you're going to go through Sonic Generation and Sonic Forces specifically, and for some reason the system requirements for Forces are many times higher than Generations, but it doesn't actually look any better. It might be using more advanced rendering techniques. I wouldn't be able to tell you. The developers probably would, and it probably does.
So Sonic Generations, for the fact that it's a 2012 game, does look actually pretty nice.
2011, and yes, it does. It looks excellent. It was always very sort of next gen looking. It's one of those games that, like, on the console versions, they basically had to render it at standard definition and lock it to 30 FPS. But when you bump the resolution up and add some like anti-aliasing and anisotropic filtering and all of like the driver level creature comforts and arbitrary resolution and frame rate that the PC usually offers, it looks like a current gen game or a next gen game even, like, to this day, whereas Sonic Forces is just kind of ugly. And I think that there's a certain artistry and a certain finesse that has been lost in the fact that inefficiencies and inadequacies at the programming or development stage have been made up for by consistent increases in the speed and power of the hardware. But I think we are reaching a point, or if we've not already reached the point at which games are getting slower and bulkier faster than the hardware can stop that from having a negative effect on the experience. And that's where we are right now. But it's not all doom and gloom, because I'm sure you'll still be able to go back in 10 years' time and play the PC version of Devil May Cry 4 on a toaster, so whatever.
That's a franchise I've not played yet. Oh yeah, well, so it was when we were talking about the fact we was going to play all of the Sonic franchise. It was someone asked me, are we going to play other franchises as well? And it's an interesting thought.
It is a good thought.
It is a good thought. It would mean that I've got like something to focus on. But the first suggestion I got was Zelda, and I'm thinking, yikes.
Ooh.
I thought, I was like, mega yikes. Do you know how long they take? Do you know how long they take?
A ridiculous amount of time.
They take ages. Sonic works
They
well
do.
because I can just do like 2 or 3 streams, and even like look how many streams we've had so far. We've gone through for five games we've done.
Yeah.
And we've done.
We've been at it for a good couple of weeks.
How many Sonic streams have I done? I think I've done 7.
Something
when did I
like
start? Yeah, it can't be. So I've not actually done a lot of streams, but I've done. So it's 5 games and 7 streams. I think it's just like that. Thereabouts.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
Whereas Zelda is going to take flipping it. That's like a whole. It's like a whole week of streams dedicated to a game. If
it's a whole week of streaming per game. Is what
I think I'd get bored too quick. Sonic's fun.
Yeah, no. Yeah, fun and action-packed and fast-paced, and there's a lot to talk about because the game doesn't overstay its welcome and it keeps itself fresh.
Yeah,
constantly keeps itself fresh.
But there's no repetitiveness. There's no going back over yourself.
Yeah, there you go.
There's
no
going back over yourself with it.
So like these long-form adventure games, however engrossing they might be, aren't always necessarily the best. Like you need to have really interesting and funny commentary. Like Game Grumps could get away with playing Legend of Zelda games because not only do they have one person dedicated entirely to commentating while the other juggles playing and commentating, but they're really funny guys and they've been like comedically trained. So doing a game of that kind of scope and scale as a live stream would be it would require some serious practice and dedication, and I think most people just aren't interested enough in those games to work themselves up to the point at which they could make sort of meaningful commentary while actually enjoying the experience for periods of hours at a time over a course of a few days or weeks. It's not going to be fun.
No. But stuff like Rayman, because I've not actually played Rayman 2, I've only played 1 and 3.
Ha! Good luck completing Rayman 1 literally ever.
Yeah,
I reckon I would say.
Yeah, of course.
It's the hardest game in the world. It's the hardest game in the world, and not because it's legitimately just like, this game is well designed and challenging. It's like, no, that game is a ball ache. It's unfair. And Michel Ancel is a sadist. But Rayman 2 is a masterpiece. I absolutely love Rayman 2. It's another one of those classic Dreamcast games. Do you know something?
Yeah, but Rayman 3 is better.
Well, you've never played Rayman 2, so...
Yeah, but I don't need to. It's like I can say Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes is the best Sonic.
Yeah, you could say that, but that would be an uneducated and wrong opinion. You see, I got my Dreamcast version of Rayman 2 just right here. There we go.
God, do you not miss getting them in boxes though? Games.
Yeah, you know what I miss? I'll show you what I miss.
The manual. Get the manual out.
Manuals! Yeah.
Never seen anyone so excited over a manual.
The great time. We are gathered here today. I'm going to read it
like
a sermon.
When you open it, you get a bit of a and then it shines off. Look at that gold. Yeah, look at the gold page.
That graphic design. Yeah,
it was like someone actually spent time and care writing out a manual, and that showed passion for the game.
And look at all this artwork that you only saw, this concept art that you only see in the manuals and stuff. Cool shit, man. That's seriously cool.
Oh, that's just such a disgusting thing that kids are like. People, look, I sort of appreciate the fact that Fortnite is what it is, but my God, kids are missing out on the fact that they've missed out on. It almost saddens me that the fact that the kids will just get given Xboxes, Switches, PlayStations, PCs, and they'll just go on Fortnite and free game, and then that's the childhood. That's all the childhood game, and then they'll be telling their people in 10 years time that Fortnite was it, and it was the best game ever, and we used to go home and we played Fortnite hours on end, and it's like, no, that's not right. And we were like, son.
Well, back in my day, we used to play Halo 3 on Xbox Live after school.
Best bit was finding the caverns in Pokemon, having to go back to the manual to translate the writings on the wall, the Braille guide.
The best part about gaming back when
that's
we
the
were,
thing that was
early high
exciting.
school was whenever you would play an online game. Oh, hundreds of milliseconds of ping because the servers were all shit back then. But you would like get a really decent snipe in Halo 3, and then you would hear some like high-pitched, whining, nasally American kid going, "Gay."
Yes, haha.
What?
Yeah, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess. We kind of but even then, like it's kind of like I guess what Fortnite is to kids nowadays is like what we did. Like a lot of people was on COD and stuff, but then there's a bit. There's like a bit. Stop. There's like a bit.
Sorry.
There's like the bit before. COD, like even before COD, it was everyone was like playing on their own PlayStations, were playing on their own Dreamcast. It was only really when people got like 360s and PlayStation 3s where it was more everyone was playing playing online with people.
Yeah. Dude,
that's sort of like a different stage. This is like sort of before everyone was having.
All right. You're talking like.
Well, I sort of class it. I sort of class it as two different stages to like the sort of the way our childhoods went. The first stage was kind of you had your own console that you got off like your birthday, Christmas, or whatever, and you went to McDonald's and you got the demo CDs, and then it was like, right, I'm gonna go to Spar or Blockbuster and I'm gonna rent these games. And even when we went to Xbox, even the first Xbox, I never had internet for that as well. So you just like go down to Blockbuster, get Tony Hawk Underground 2 for the weekend. That was sick. That was so sick, and it was like you would
buy enough controllers. You would buy enough controllers for your friends to sit on the couch and play 4-player split screen, and you would give the retard the third-party controller.
No, I mean the one that you play. You played
the horrible smelly.
Can we just stop saying that? Stop saying that word. It's not right. Stop saying that word. It's not right.
What word?
Yeah, what
Sweaty?
What you'd give your Player 3 controller to that. Stop.
No,
no, you're not allowed to say it.
It would be Player 4 and the third-party controller. Shall we just call them? Shall we just call them Mad Cats?
Whoa! I had a Mad Catz mouse mat.
Jesus. What were the other companies that used to make third-party controllers?
God, I don't know.
I did always get the shit. No, I always got the shit controller. It was when my stepbrother used to come round, bring his GameCube. Well, my stepbrothers and sister used to come round, and I have 3 older stepbrothers and 1 older stepsister. But the oldest stepbrother stopped coming around quite early on. But when Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube, developed by HAL Laboratories and released by Nintendo in 2001, came out, and they had that and 4 controllers, we used to play the Melee sitting on my sofa in my in the spare room in my house, and I always used to get the third party controller, and it was like very third party. It was unbranded, and the little rubber grips were peeling off the side, and the top of the C-stick was bare.
You wouldn't have that any other way. You kind of respected the fact that it was not your console.
But it had a turbo button.
Oh, they all have turbo buttons. They all have turbo
At the time, I don't know whether or not you remember in Super Smash Bros. Melee, when you're playing as Fox, you can do that kind of multiple kick where he goes and kicks up and down.
Yeah.
You can turbo that shit, and that was really great. Yeah, you could do. I was doing short hop double laser before it was cool with the turbo button on my older brother's third party Mad Catz
Bash
controller.
Co-op. Yeah, I mean, speaking of Crash Bash, there was a guy who worked on this new CTR game as a lighting editor, I think. And he got given permission to do a mock-up of Crash Bash, the first. I don't know. Have you played Crash Bash?
Of course, I've played Crash Bash.
So the editor for that company, I think what's it called? But I can't remember what that company's called. That made the remake, because I'm just not that bothered about who the frig they are. I'm more bothered about the game. But the lighting editor for that company it got permission to make a mock-up of the first box level, so everyone's like proper hyping it up, thinking that it might actually happen. Madvian has subscribed for 8 months. He's just triggered the Pingu cartoon. He said your mum. No, do you know that animation? It's the animation of the...
You know what I think is absolutely scandalous about Pingu? The fact that when they, like, the only remastered versions that they ever made, they changed the music. And the new soundtrack absolutely sucks. It's not very good. Why the hell they did that, I have absolutely no idea. But the I think it's like the second episode where Pingu has to look after the egg that Pinga would eventually hatch out of, and it's like jumping off the walls and stuff. Do you remember that? You remember the one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. But it plays like a completely different piece of music in the remastered version. It sucks.
Poor baby.
I wanna hear Woodpeckers from Space by Video Kids.
Intricate Pingu lore.
From space.
It's funny you should mention about the Crash Nitro Kart, because in the video of in the trailer they got for it, eagle-eyed fans of the Crash racing games will notice that all of the cars that are in Crash Nitro Kart are in the new remaster, which is why it's called Nitro Fueled. So that's very, very exciting. So who knows, there might just be even some DLC popping by on that game, I mean, which would be quite exciting.
I mean, if they turn around and announce all the courses and mechanics and characters from Nitro Kart are also in this game, and it's like a 2-in-1.
I don't see. Honestly, I do not have a problem with them bringing out more. With bringing out the Nitro Kart content.
On
that game. Everyone is here. Yeah, I mean, they've got the cars in it. That's what I'm like. That's what's exciting. They've got the cars in it, and it would be. Oh, it'd be perfect. Oh, I can't. Honestly, I think what I'm going to try and do is try and get. So it's coming out in June. I know we're going to have like 3 weeks. I know we're going to have 3 weeks off. No, about 3 weeks off stream because we're going to Japan, and which was going to be some IRL streams over there. Hopefully.
When are you going to Japan, by the way?
It's the 17th of May till the 4th of June. So get ready for the IRL karaoke. Awesome. IRL karaoke streams.
I wish I could come, but I don't. Do you know, I might have saved up enough money at that point, but you've already arranged
We already arranged it, and then we had another hop along coming on a month after we'd booked our flights, and very luckily they were still available. So
they won't be now, will they?
I'm not too sure, but I mean, we're in the process of kind of like sorting a come out now because we've only got 4 months. We've only got 4 months to go now. But I want to try and get.
It sucks that you have to like prepare holidays and like.
Because our parents used to just do all that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's like you don't just book flights and all that magic happens after.
There's so much like stress and pressure and planning and stuff that goes into it. It's almost like it has to be the fucking best holiday ever because otherwise there's months of waiting and this ordeal and anticipation.
But I mean, if you put the planning in, then and leave it open a bit. Don't say we're doing this and we're doing that and we're doing that and we're doing that. Having the idea of an itinerary just leaves things open a bit.
I want to go to. I want to go to some of the clubs in Roppongi, which is a district in Tokyo. It's like the clubbing end of town.
Hopefully we'll be clubbing.
It's the only like dodgy area of the place. But there's a club called I think it's still open. But there's a club that has like Eurobeat gigs and para events and stuff, and I am so down for that. That would be the best.
We just so everyone's aware, when we do the IRL streams, if we are doing them, Japan is 8 hours ahead of GMT. It might be actually. It'll go. Will BST kick in before we go? It might do.
Probably, yeah.
Oh yeah, it will.
But I think Japan has a summertime as well. So
I think it's 8 hours. I think it's 8 hours ahead. So be warned when we're streaming at like 11 o'clock there, it's going to be like, it's going to be 3
2 a.m. or something.
3 a.m. 3 in the afternoon here. So if we stream during the day, it's probably going to be like if we stream during the day in Japan, it's going to be very early morning. So maybe I might do some streams to time in with people's breakfast, so they can watch some bit of must eat morning.
Idea. Mussy in the morning. Yeah. Oh, you need to do like a proper radio. Mussy in the morning.
In the morning. No. Behave.
Bloody behave. Oh no, I'm gonna make you do Mystic Mansioning.
Behave. I need my GIF banger alert coming up on it comes up on the screen.
Absolutely.
On the stream.
Absolutely. Right. So it's been a fun little evening.
Oh, do you want to go? Am I boring you?
No, I don't actively want to go, but
no, it was a very, very interesting chat, and it was a good idea of how having a guest would go down on the stream.
Stimulate matters of discussion.
Very interesting. Yeah,
going
I
it
think
solo.
What Mr. Ill Intelligence said as well, inviting guests to sort of say. I think that's very interesting thing what we did, where we said your best games from different franchises.
Yeah.
I think that's a very good sort of topic to go off, because the fact they've got to think a bit more about what they would rate the top 5 from different franchises, and then they kind of have these kind of same conversations again, because everyone's got like probably their own wonderful stories about how they've come across their games and stuff. So
fantastic idea! It's like Desert Island Discs.
Yeah.
Musidach's Desert Island Games. There we go. That's it. That's the good shit.
That could be a part of the podcast. We'll just save it for like a little bit, because I kind of want, if I invite guests on, I'm usually going for people who do streams, so they can talk about what they do on their streams and things like that. But we can have like a segment in it where we like, right, press sound effect, boom. Desert Island Games. We need that. We need a ooh.
Ow!
I need I'd take the one out. No, I'd take the one out of the I keep forgetting the name of the level.
Launch Base. It would have been Launch Base from Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Hang Castle, the screech, screech from Hang Castle. We need that.
You gotta play the Hang Castle theme so that people know what we're talking about during the close of this theme.
We'll play it. End it.
On the way out, yeah.
Guests come in with the 5 favourite games to chat about, but I do want to sort of get them to think. If we go for different franchises, though, it gets them thinking a bit more. Everyone's got 5 franchises that they reckon.
Everybody does.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely
not hard.
Everybody does.
We did 10. We did 10 and we kind of struggled, but 5 was pretty easy to sort of get down. Honourable mentions as well is absolutely fine, but it gives us a bit of a little segment as well, so that is very, very good, and I'm very glad of the feedback for these podcasts.
Excellent.
No, Fortnite is banned. We're not saying people cannot say that Fortnite is one of their most favourite games. Maybe you can, but you're not coming on my stream. I'm joking.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we actually we didn't even really. What I want to do is kind of do a blow-by-blow recount of like the games on our top 10 list and talking about the reasons why they're.
We could do a special edition. We can
because
we'll do a special edition one time.
Beyond Sonic Adventure, Crash Team Racing, and maybe a little bit of Melee, and I talked a little bit about Rayman 2 as well, I suppose. To be honest, like it's so organic that those games come up in conversations for me when I'm talking about them, that you don't even really need to formalize it that much. But there are a couple of others on the list that I'd like to go through again at some point. Maybe once I'm back on my horse, streaming music production and gaming of my own and all the rest of it. I can talk about them a bit myself, and we can reconvene in like a couple months' time and see how things are getting on.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. So I don't know how much of my top 10 would change. But
no.
because all I can see in my future plans right now for streaming is doing these podcasts and doing the Sonic streams until we go to Japan, and then Crash Team Racing is about to probably then come out. So I'm gonna sort of put. Look, I don't know. I can't roughly say how many hours as a kid I put into Crash Team Racing, but it's almost like I want to sort of do it all over again, playing the remaster. That's how like I'm so ready for it, and I'm gonna be like, I think I'm probably just gonna say, look, I am gonna be playing Crash Team Racing. I'm so looking forward to it, and all my streams are gonna be that.
How old are you when you first played CTR?
5.
Right, and you're like 23 now, aren't you? So it was. Like
I'll be 23 when it comes out. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. It'll be an experience and anticipated experience.
I've played that every. I can't think of a time. Well, I can't think of any year in my life where I've not played that game, just because of the fact that I've always wanted to just go back on it and play it.
Do you know something? Like, I was really kind of depressed over the course of the summer and afterwards, and I didn't play Sonic Adventure from, I want to say, the end of June to about like November or maybe even December.
But I mean, it's important that we've got those kind of games to go back to.
No, I know.
Which is kind of like I hope that. I don't know what Sonic is like. I don't know what Sega are like for doing remasters of kind of stuff. But I mean, I hope that something off your list ends up becoming back into. I hope it comes. I hope something will come back and you're gonna be like, wow, I'm so damn excited for this. Like I am.
Oh, dude, you know something? So in a recent interview with Retro Gamer, the UK's Retro Gamer magazine, who recently did like a 20th anniversary feature on Sonic Adventure, which I may or may not have mentioned.
Yeah, because I linked you it, and you were like, "Have you seen this?"
Yeah.
And they were like, "Of course I've seen it." I felt like such a monk.
They have legitimately considered, and they do want to say the art director and the main director for Sonic Adventure have both said that of every game they've made throughout their respective careers, if they wanted to remake one, it would probably be Sonic Adventure, just because it's got like a lot of untapped potential left in there, and that there was never really another game quite like it, and to see it revitalized with sort of modern technology and production values, I think might do quite well. But you know, if it's the same team who did Sonic Forces, not really sure how good it'll be. But when a fan team went back to the classic Sonic gameplay style and made Mania very well received, so I don't know, we could one day see the same thing happening with Sonic Adventure. But I'm not holding my breath. What I'd really like to happen is, in the light of the Crash Trilogy remaster and the Spyro Trilogy remaster, if there was like a Sonic 3D games trilogy with Adventure 2, and Heroes all in a big remastered bundle, that would make me extremely happy.
No. I mean, it's perfectly justified that the companies are sort of hopping onto a nostalgia bandwagon at the moment because people are they've seen people aren't that happy with the way that the games are right now, and people want to go back to the old days or bring a character to a new generation, and I get it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like Spyro's been in particular has been in a real bad situation for a really long time, and I think the ultimate problem with Crash and Spyro in particular were that they kept on getting sold to different companies and different development teams, and nobody who developed the original.
We were just talking about
that. Curtis. So like,
everyone wants it. Everyone wants it. I'm hoping if I might enjoy it, and I might enjoy it, and I might want it as well.
The thing is, if they remake Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, I would definitely love for them to make a Sonic Adventure 3.
Would that be a thing? I don't know. It's very risky. It's very risky wanting a new game for an old sort of area. It's
they're
like
all in there.
people wanted the people who made the Crash remaster to do a brand new Crash game, and I'm sort of got mixed opinions on making a new Crash game.
Yeah, I suppose. But
Because it's just not gonna. I just don't think it makes sense. I just
they're
can't.
not. The original developers of Sonic Adventure were
Oh, don't worry, Curtis. It was just very excited.
They were in their, maybe they were like in their mid-20s. They were in their like mid to upper 20s when that game came out. But now they're all in like their late 40s, I suppose. And by the time the game is actually, if they start it now, by the time it's like finished and released, they'll be in their like early 50s. So I guess they're not quite at video game industry retirement age yet. So there we go. I remember when I wanted a Mirror's Edge sequel 7 years after the original Ill Intelligence, and then it happened. And it was it good? Did you like it?
Wait, in its defense, that's got quite a good soundtrack because it's got churches in it, and they got a really good song in it, and I listen to it all the time. So, which is interesting because one of the sort of inspirations for doing this Sonic one was I think I told you about this where we were talking about songs from video games that were really like 10 out of 10 songs, but from games that you haven't played, and and going through like listening to like Sonic Heroes OSTs, and then Sonic. And then that Sonic Unleashed Endless Possibility comes up as a recommended video, and you're like, all right, yeah, I'll listen to it. And it's like, oh my god, this is like it's pretty sick, and it fits that game so well. It fits Sonic very well. I think the song fits what Sonic is about. Endless Possibilities, and then all the other songs are pretty sick. Like Reach for the Stars was the first ever heard. That was on Smash. The last Smash.
That's a really good song.
It's just a really good song. It's got a nice sound to it. And then you've got Dreams of an Absolution, which is kind of like
yeah, that's a banger.
It's a banger alert.
Yeah, no, that's an absolute anthem track, and it was done by a guy, sung by a guy called Bentley Jones, and he's like an independent pop singer. I have like 3 or 4 of his albums. He's so good. I love him so much.
Banger alert.
But he sings some of his songs in Japanese as well, so that's kind of cool. But anyway,
oh, I can't wait. I need to make this GIF. I need to make this like alert up on the stream, banger alert, or have a siren noise, and then have a copy pasta ready for rolling around the speed of sound.
The siren noise just has to be you doing the thing from Hank
Castle
in Sonic Heroes, which you have to play on the outro, which I am sad to say is going to need to be sooner rather than later, as I have to dash off and
perfectly fine.
Sort my cycling gear out for tomorrow because I am cycling to work at fucking 6:30 in the morning, which is going to be so much fun.
You're getting up at 6:30, or you set off at 6:30?
No, I'm setting off at 6:30 to arrive for 7.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. We've gone for about a good 2.5 hours here, but I would like to thank you very much for coming on to tonight's stream. It was very, very insightful, and I hope it's given you a little bit of confidence when you go back on streams yourself.
It's good practice, actually. Good practice. Being able to sort of like spontaneously bounce around discussion topics and recall my opinions and vocabulary with some kind of articulate immediacy, I would say.
Clap, 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 man. Thank you. Thank you to the audience as well for being good, taking part in these discussions as well. I'm excited to keep this a regular fixture of this is our Wednesday podcast stream. Hear me out.
Excellent.
Hear me out. I need to see.
Hear me out.
Hear me out.
Hear me out.
And we're going to see if we can get on there next week. Hopefully we can have another guest. Guests work pretty well, but as far as we're going for the future streams as well. This weekend is Sonic Adventure, so do not miss it. Do not miss it. It's going to be happening on Friday and Saturday, and then a potential one on Sunday, and then the week after is Sonic Adventure 2. So we're in our little Sonic Adventure block. Get ready, get your music,
and then January 2019 was the best month of my life so far for Twitch streaming.
Wow, that's how it's very, very, very kind of you. I do hope
seriously, yeah.
I hope they've been sad. But I hope they've been entertaining so far. Anyway,
I was like distraught that I had to miss the end of the Sonic 3D stream. I'm gonna go back and rewatch all of that. It was good fun.
Sonic CD has been even just as a stream in general. Sonic CD was
such a great
one of my very favourite streams that I've ever done. It was a pretty good one. But that is all we've got time for this evening, so thank you very, very much for watching. Is there anything else you want to say there, Mr. Shinon?
And if you want more of this ugly mug and this fascinating, deep and sensual voice, you must come over to twitch.tv/Shinon streams. Make sure to click the link and follow all the accounts and get on all the Discord servers, social media presences and official outlets.
In chat.
In this little description box below the video window, and I am going to reorganize a proper streaming schedule once I have internet, once I can get all of that, once I can get my house in order, so to speak. So once that's all arranged, I usually stream music production, mainly Eurobeat if you're into that kind of music, or video game playing and commentary. And yeah, I thank you for your attention and your time.
Right, yeah, that is good enough for me. Make sure you drop a follow. See you on Friday, guys, for some Sonic Adventure. Take care. We're ending the stream right now. Good night. Bye.